Hello viewer, it's time I come clean. If you're a subscriber of mine, chances are you've seen this video already, but wait, don't click off yet, man, wait, I'm serious. In an attempt to avoid copyright from every single band in the world, I put dog videos in the background to avoid using band footage. Turns out the dog people didn't like that. They copyrighted my ass, which I think is wild from a channel splicing Reddit dog videos, but that's besides the point. I was gonna leave it up, but I would rather spontaneously explode than give the Reddit splicers even more money. I read most of the comments on that video and found a bunch of albums I missed, so I figured I'd kill two birds with one stone, and rather than make a part 2 video, I've decided to remaster this one. Timestamp on the screen if you just want to see the new albums. Yes, I talk about Boston Self-Titled, and yes, I talk about Acid Bath. Hopefully the cats won't do me dirty this time. Anyway, please enjoy. Hello dear viewer, it's me, the man on your screen. I'm gonna rank some debut albums today. All of the ones I care to rank, to be honest. That's mostly rock and metal, but I sprinkle in some other stuff. I spice it up a little bit today. If I miss your favorite artist, please assume I hate them and not that I forgot them. Please note that my list may differ from your list, and that's actually okay with me. You can let me know in the comments, but I probably won't respond. Here are our tiers for today. If you're familiar with my channel, please note the brand new tier at the bottom titled Youch. This is when listening to an album causes me to audibly scream out in pain, which happens several times throughout this video. Think Walter White underneath the floor. Let's get started, shall we? Scream, bloody gore, death. This is pretty good. In the context of their catalog, it's not nearly as good as some of their future projects, but as this video goes on, I begin to appreciate this album a lot more. Solid enough project. I'm gonna give it the A tier. Ultra Mega OK, Soundgarden. Guys, this album stinks. I love Soundgarden, I love Chris Cornell, and I love Super Unknown, but this album is not it, man. They didn't have it yet with this project. Very few memorable moments on this album. In fact, I've completely wiped it from my memory. Stinky stuff, D tier. F sharp, A sharp, Infinity. Godspeed You, Black Emperor. Oh man, this is good stuff. This is great stuff. A little bit of flour in my system. And this album is a recipe for success, dear viewer. Really great album. I'm gonna give it S tier. Roman Candle, Elliott Smith. This is textbook A tier stuff. There's not much to discuss. It's good. It's not great. It's some of his weaker work, for sure, purely due to the quality of his future stuff. Not much of a reason to revisit this project. I haven't since my first listen. Back at the A tier, though. Again, you'll see how much worse this gets. In the Court of the Crimson King, King Crimson. Perhaps the greatest prog rock album of all time. That's probably not true, but damn it, this is really goddamn good. The red guy on the cover is also pretty neat. I like it. Easy and free goat tier. We Care a Lot, Faith No More. No thank you. Damn near youched here, but I'm gonna go bottom of D, based on my undying love for Mike Patton. Channel Orange, Frank Ocean. This is really good. There's not a lot of Frank Ocean music in this world, so when he delivers a full-length project, it's probably pretty good. Certainly not as good as Blonde, but this is a really good album, no doubt. Back of the S tier. Gorillaz' self-titled project. It's got its moments, but a lot of this album is super-duper mediocre. I would say 2/3 of this are songs I'll probably never listen to on purpose ever again, but that other third is good enough to sneak this into the B tier. People's Instinctive Travels in the Paths of Rhythm, A Tribe Called Quest. The name was so long I actually have to move on to the next album. This is great though. Top of the A tier. Queen's self-titled record. Not great stuff. There's almost no reason to listen to this album, to be honest. Really weak album in their catalog, and not even good out of that context. I won't be back here, ever. Top of the D tier. Slowdive, Just for a Day. I'm not the biggest shoegaze guy in the world, but I can appreciate a good shoegaze project when I hear it. Actually, I don't know this time, to be honest. I'm kind of conflicted. I'm gonna go back of A, but I might change that later. We'll see. Gish, Smashing Pumpkins. Gish, My Beloved, or really Rhinoceros, My Beloved. There's a couple hitters here, but you're better off listening to almost any other project of theirs from the 90s. It's definitely got its charm, though, and I do revisit this album fairly often, although I am what is called a pumpkin. Top of the B tier. Korn's self-titled project. Comfortably the best Korn album, so at least there's that. I don't think Korn is that great, though, so there's also that. I like it, I don't love it, but it's got its moments for sure. Back of the A tier. Whatever people say I am, that's what I'm not. The Arctic Monkeys. I was fully prepared to bash the Arctic Monkeys for the 14th time on my channel, but this is actually a really good record. You know that gif of Danny DeVito where he says, "I get it now"? That's not really how I feel, but it's a pretty funny picture. Really good album, though. I'll give them credit where it's due. Above Channel Orange, in the S tier. The College Dropout, Kanye West. This is a tricky field to navigate, but for the sake of this list, I'm going to pretend Kanye West tragically died immediately after releasing the album Donda in 2021, and was therefore unable to do everything he's done in the last couple of years. This album is ridiculously good, probably his best record, one of the greatest hip-hop records ever. Back of the GOAT tier. Reasonable Doubt, Jay-Z. Again, I'm not taking into account the musician's character at all. He's a terrible person, but damn it, this is really good shit. Easily some of the best production I've heard on a rap project in a long time. Absolutely incredible record. Back of the S tier. The Velvet Underground and Nico, self-titled. Guys, this album is almost uncomfortably overrated. I don't like this that much, to be honest with you. Sunday Morning is a great song, but I haven't revisited much else from this project since my first listen months ago. Perhaps my most controversial take in this video, this one, goes to the top of the A tier. Grace, Jeff Buckley. Top of GOAT. There's not much to say. One of my favorite albums ever. Damn You, the Wolf River. Bleach, Nirvana. Guys, this album kinda stinks. I'm a Nirvana fan, but it's not because of this album at all. It's got its highlights, most notably About a Girl, but I don't throw this album on almost ever, top to bottom, no way. And why would I? There's two better projects from these guys. C tier. Pablo Honey, Radiohead. This may surprise you, but Pablo Honey is truly, and I mean this shit, one of the worst albums I've ever heard top to bottom in my entire life. Usually if an album is egregiously bad, I'll just turn that shit off, but with Radiohead, I know how good their music gets, so I gave Pablo Honey a full, uninterrupted try, and I truly regret that shit. Really weak stuff. Creep is good, the rest is pretty fucking bad. I'm gonna give it the coveted Youch tier due to trauma. Led Zeppelin's self-titled album, this is great, really consistent project. Really strong hits on here, you can't go wrong with this one. Back of the S tier. Undertow, Tool. My fellow Tools, please avert your eyes. I know I'm the Tool guy, but fellas, Undertow isn't that good. It's got a great selection of good tracks, but it's also got a couple stinkers. And Disgustipated is almost unacceptable. It's a song that causes me genuine anguish, a literal painful listen. Top of the B tier, please don't hurt me. Facelift, Alice in Chains, my fellow Alicers. I'm not sure where I was going with that. This album has one of my favorite 6-track runs in music. The first half of this album is borderline flawless, and if the record stopped right there, I think we've got an S-tier project, but it doesn't stop right there. It just keeps going and going and going. The second half of this album is indescribably weaker than the first half, behind the banana in the A tier. $3 bill, y'all. Limp Bizkit. I am as much of a fan of Limp Bizkit as the next guy, but this just isn't all that good. The first couple tracks are alright, but the last, I don't know, 4/5 of this is just super ass. The closing track is at least ambitious, but the rest of this project has been completely removed from my memory as of right now. D tier, above Faith No More. Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park. Linkin Park may have peaked early, but that actually works out pretty well for this video specifically. It's one of the better nu metal albums I've heard in a while. Certainly better than anything Fred Durst has ever shit out of his ass. It's got the hits, it's got consistency. This is a great album, I can get behind this one. Top of the A tier. Temple of the Dog, self-titled project. This is probably the most underrated grunge record ever recorded. Chris Cornell with Pearl Jam? Sign me the fuck up. This is really good top to bottom. Give this a listen if you haven't, please. More people need to know about this. Above Death, in the A tier. Adrenaline, Deftones. This is their worst album, I think. Maybe it's better than Gore's bitch ass, but not much more than that. It's got its moments for sure. Most notably Bored and Engine Number 9, but everything else here is pretty bland and pretty forgettable. It hurts my heart, but top of the C tier. Three Imaginary Boys, The Cure. This is pretty bad. There was a 4-track stretch in the middle of this album that had me contemplating lobotomizing myself, but other than that, it's a super duper forgettable album that really has almost no replayability. I won't be back, and I suggest you save yourself the agony, if you haven't heard this already, behind Fred Durst in the D tier. Audioslave's self-titled album, oh yeah. Chris Cornell's third and final appearance on this list, and also comfortably his best debut record. This whole album is really just incredible rock music. It's not ambitious in the slightest, but you can't get much better than the start of this project. It does taper off towards the end, but not enough for me to slander this whole record. Above Temple of the Dog, in the A tier. Killing is My Business, and Business is Good. Megadeth. Perhaps the worst album name of all time. Luckily for me, the music is not nearly as bad. It's not great, and I'm not sure I would even call it good, but it's short, it's inoffensive, and it's a good enough introduction to this band. Back of the C tier. Everybody else is doing it, so why can't we? The Cranberries. That's 2 comically long album names in a row. I have very little to say about this one, though. It's pretty good, it's got a couple slam dunk tracks here, and a bunch of pretty good ones. No absolute stinkers here, so that's a plus. I'm going to put it behind Temple of the Dog in the A tier. Walk Among Us, The Misfits. Really short project, almost too short. 24 minutes doesn't really feel like an album to me. That's only an A-side on a vinyl. I don't like it. The music itself is solid enough. Astro Zombies is a pretty fun song, but other than that, not much really resonated with me here. Behind Gish, in the B tier. Outlandos D'Amour, The Police. Not to be confused with Paul D'Amour, the original bassist for Tool, this album is pretty mediocre, to be honest. As a project, at least. 3 or 4 absolute classic tracks on here, but the rest is pretty mediocre, man. Behind the Gorillaz, in the B tier. Black on Both Sides, Mos Def. This is undoubtedly one of the greatest hip-hop projects ever. Mos Def, a criminally underrated rapper, at least in my generation, as is this album. Love this album a lot. Back of the GOAT tier. David Bowie's self-titled album. This album was actually the inspiration for the brand new Youch tier. This shit is seriously bad, so bad that I couldn't believe it was a David Bowie album. Do yourself a favor and avoid this shit like the actual plague. Truthfully, dear viewer, every single song on this album is genuinely a bad song. There's not a saving grace here. There's nowhere to catch your breath. It's 31 minutes of actual torture. Bottom of the Youch tier. Mr. Bungle's self-titled album. Mike Patton got it right this time. There's no songs here knocking my socks clean off my feet, but the project as a whole is incredibly consistent. And double the length of that Bowie garbage. I'm sorry, I'm still a little upset about that last one. Above Audioslave in the A tier. Illmatic, Nas. It's tough to not give this the #1 spot, but dear viewer, I'm going to give it #2 for now. I just prefer Grace to this album. This one is probably objectively better. The consistency on this album, the storytelling, the very few but the very effective features. This is one of the peaks of hip-hop for sure. GOAT tier. Terra Incognita Gojira. I've come to love Gojira over the last couple of months, but this is comfortably one of their weaker projects. This album has very high highs and really goddamn low lows as well. Especially the penultimate track, That Shit Sucks Balls. Behind Gorillaz in the B tier. Rage Against the Machine's self-titled album. Every growing boy, at least in the early 2000s, goes through a phase of listening to abhorrently bad rap music. For me, that was Lil Uzi Vert, that was A Boogie with the Hoodie. Every growing boy also has an album that brings them back into the rock scene, and for me, that was this album right here. Absolutely incredible album, top to bottom. Every single song here is a fucking banger, man. It's an album so unique that it's hard to compare it to much else. Incredible stuff. Behind the College Dropout, in the GOAT tier. Definitely Maybe, Oasis. This is the worst of their 2 good albums, if you ask me. It's still a pretty great project, though. A bit of its charm is lost on me, perhaps due to my feverish hatred of British culture. That was a joke. Pretty consistent. Maybe 1 or 2 misses here. Definitely worth a listen, though. Above Facelift, in the A tier. I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love, My Chemical Romance. I mean, this one's ridiculous. What the fuck? What's the abbreviation here? IBYMBYBMYL? That's fucking ridiculous. Sorry, I got sidetracked. This album is pretty much, it did nothing for me. It's super obvious this is their first project. It's consistently just kind of mid throughout. There's no real highlights here, save for maybe the final track, I guess. Even that one didn't make any of my playlists, though. Back of the C tier. Slipknot's self-titled project. Definitely my favorite album from them. I'm not a huge fan of Slipknot, but this album, it's undeniably pretty great. Eyeless, one of my favorite new metal songs ever, but I think the album does get a little sloppy towards the end of the project. Behind Facelift, in the A tier. Pretty Hate Machine, 9 Inch Nails. This album is pretty good, man. I don't really know what else to say. Head Like a Hole is super, super good. That's probably enough, right? Behind Slipknot, in the A tier. Black Sabbath's self-titled album. This is definitely one of the best debut albums ever. In the context of music, the album practically created the metal genre. In the context of this list, it's only pretty good, I fear. Top of the S tier, doesn't quite reach the GOAT tier for me. Aerosmith's self-titled record. Man, if this didn't have Dream On, we'd be having a completely different conversation. That's not true. This album is still ass. Dream On is the obvious highlight, but the other half hour of music is super-duper forgettable and pretty mediocre. As this incredibly wise albumoftheyear.com user put it, Dream On and 7 bonus tracks. Top of the D tier. Showbiz, Muse. Avert your eyes, Matt Bellamy fans. This is super mid. It's not bad, but it's not good. It's boring, and I'm done talking about it. Back in the C tier. Fungus Among Us. Incubus. Man, I forgot this album existed. When I was workshopping this video idea, I smiled to myself when I thought I could finally give Incubus a W with what I thought was their debut album, Science, but this pile of ass sadly comes first. I mean, there's nothing on this album. It's a 40-minute fucking nothing sandwich. Pointless listen. I won't be back. Youched here solely because of the emotional distress it caused me by not being Science. 10, Pearl Jam. Come on. The best grunge debut album. Actually, that's probably not true, but the best one we've talked about so far. Absolutely. Top to bottom, this project is just 53 minutes of fucking peak. And the hits here are just absolute classics. This is going to be higher than you might think. Top of the S tier. Queens of the Stone Age self-titled record. Pretty solid start to this record, actually, but track 4 and onward is pretty rough. Mexico is cool, but other than that, the latter half of this album is pretty unfun. Not really a project worth revisiting, but it wasn't a painful listen, I wouldn't say, no way. Behind Megadeth, in the C tier. A light for attracting attention, The Smile. I mean, this is kind of a Radiohead album, but we're going to talk about it anyway. It's pretty good. That's actually all I have written down here. Top of the B tier. Foo Fighters' self-titled record. If Dave and the fellas would have kept this in the lab just a little bit longer, I think we'd be talking about a much better project here. This thing starts off pretty well, the first 5 or so tracks, but then it just falls apart for the rest of this project. Not worth revisiting. You throw on the greatest hits Foo Fighters album, and you'll get everything you need from this album. I'm going to put it poetically behind Bleach in the C tier. The Red Hot Chili Peppers self-titled. I'm a certified Red Hot Chili Pepper hater these days, and today, the haters have come home with a resounding victory. Perhaps one of the most one-sided victories since Germany versus Brazil so long ago. This is the worst thing I've heard in a really long time. This is actual garbage. Mommy Where's Daddy may be the single worst song I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. Seriously, stay away from this shit. Bottom of the Youch tier. All We Know Is Falling, Paramore. Everything here is okay at best. Nothing's terrible, but nothing's good. Forget this album, dear viewer. It's stinky. Behind Aerosmith, in the D tier. Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses. This shit is not very good, dear viewer. It's got their biggest hits, and I'll give all those songs a 60-degree angle thumbs up. But everything else here is, it's either bad or it's mediocre. Behind Megadeth, in the C tier. 39 Smooth, Green Day. Very few redeeming qualities about this album. Actually, scratch that. There's no redeeming qualities here. It wasn't painful, although the last couple tracks were pretty close to painful, but there's no reason to listen to this album. Just go listen to anything else from these guys. Behind Limp Bizkit, in the D tier. Section 80, Kendrick Lamar. Is this Kendrick's worst album? If I made this video a year ago, then yeah, it probably would have been, but I think it's better than GNX, right? It's got a lot of holes, but overall, it's a pretty solid record, and a great stepping stone for Kendrick's career. I like it. It's nothing too special. Behind Mr. Bungle, in the A tier. Murmur, Rem. This project surprised the shit out of me. To be frank, dear viewer, the extent of my knowledge of Rem stops immediately after losing my religion. This is a pretty solid album, though. No real heavy hitters on this album, I wouldn't say, but it's really consistent. It's just good. I'm excited to listen to some more of these guys, though. Above Death, in the A tier. Please Please Me, The Beatles. No. This is pretty ass. There's about 241 Beatles albums, and 235 of them are probably better than this one. Super forgettable, no really good songs here. I don't care about this album at all. C tier, right above this Blue album I've completely forgot the name of already. Death Consciousness, Have a Nice Life. This album, and I mean this next part, truly makes me want to kill myself. But in that good way that so few bands can really encapsulate. Kid A is an album that comes to mind that does that very well. It's a super devastating album I can't really listen to very often, but it's undoubtedly some of the greatest music I've ever heard. Shoe-in for the GOAT tier, I'm going to put it behind King Crimson. Are You Experienced? The Jimi Hendrix Experience. Absolutely excellent introduction to the magician known as Jimi Hendrix. There's no absolute classics on this album, but every song here is a song I would describe as good. 40 minutes of a smile on my face is a recipe for the S tier, behind Pearl Jam. Frizzle Fry, Primus. Please note that I say their name wrong on purpose so as to annoy all Primus fans. I'm a hater. But this is a pretty remarkable album, I can't lie. Couple holes in here, but the first 3/4 of this album are really goddamn good. Les Claypool is a maniac on the bass in this project. Back of the S tier. Third Eye Blind's self-titled album. I created this channel many years ago with the sole purpose of one day being able to share the gospel of this album, and today, that day has come. This is one of my favorite albums ever, solely based on the absolutely immaculate vibes this provides. It's just fun, man. There's no complete misses here, and the first 6 tracks are some of my favorite songs ever. It's just classic into classic into classic, man. Criminally underrated record. Top of the S tier. Isn't Anything, My Bloody Valentine. Guys, I've never once heard a My Bloody Valentine song and cracked a smile. I immediately sit up and stare blankly forward for the rest of the song. Take that as you would like. This project isn't great. It's not terrible, but a whole lot of just mid. 37 minutes of it, to be frank. Above the Beatles, in the C tier. Above Mad Season, this shit is fire. Lane Staley is perhaps my favorite vocalist of all time, and it's just an absolute Lane masterclass on this album. Very few misses on this project, and a lot of just super memorable songs, and almost soothing music from Lane. I love this album a lot, but factoring in my unshakable Lane Staley bias, I'll drop it a little bit, behind Led Zeppelin in the S tier. System of a Down self-titled project, this is phenomenal. There truly isn't a bad System of a Down album, man. This is probably my personal third favorite record from them. But damn, this has some absolute fucking bangers. Super consistently good album, with some of their best tracks to date on here as well. Two incredibly passionate thumbs up from me. Top of the S tier. The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, Pink Floyd. A criminally underrated Pink Floyd record, and their best work with their original frontman, Syd Barrett. It's almost hard to call this a Pink Floyd album because it bears very little resemblance to something like Dark Side of the Moon, but this album, it's a pretty fun listen. The second half is a little weak, but I like this project. Above Death, in the A tier. Core, Stone Temple motherfucking Pilots. Guys, this is one of my favorite albums ever. Is it as good as I think it is? Absolutely not. But my god, this album is just some of the most fun grunge I've ever heard. Something about Scott Weiland's voice and perhaps his lyricism here just clicks on this project. It's so incredibly simple. There's really not much fresh here, but it's just good goddamn fun. Perhaps my most controversial take yet, top of the S tier for Core. Operation Doomsday, MF Doom. This isn't the most consistent rap project, to be honest. It's far from it. There are several stinkers on here, but the good heavily outweighs the bad. Some absolute rap classics on here, and a great introduction to Doom style. I'm thinking S tier, right behind Mad Season. Kill 'Em All, Metallica. The Dave Mustaine era of Metallica was a short one, but damn, it was a great one. This album is pretty great. No sensational tracks here, but top to bottom, it's a pretty enjoyable project. Definitely a sign of what the band had to offer in the future, and a beautiful template for them to build off of. Above Mr. Bungle, in the A tier. The Doors' self-titled project. This is one of the best debuts ever, and there's nothing else to really say. The sheer creativity on this project, the songwriting, the instrumentation, the production. This is an actual magical record. A must-listen for prog rock fans that aren't familiar. Back of the GOAT tier. Don't Wake Me Up, The Microphones. Nothing here. Not good, not bad. Behind Megadeth, in the C tier. Thank Me Later, Drake. You know what? This is pretty fun stuff, man. Drake was pretty universally ass throughout his career, but right at the start, 7-year-old me had hope for young Drake back in 2010. I have some heavy nostalgia for this album, but I do think it's one of his better projects, certainly better than anything he's put out in the last decade. Above the Beatles, in the C tier, because I think that's really funny. Leisure, Blur. This is pretty bad. I'm not really a Blur fan in the first place, but the second half of this project is pretty painful stuff. The first half is just listenable enough to escape the clutches of the Youch tier, but not much more than that. It's got a couple solid tracks, I guess. I like There's No Other Way, at least. Regardless, D tier, behind Paramore. Organics, The Roots. This is also pretty bad. This time, I am a fan of the artist, but this is just really weak shit from these guys. There's not a single track here that truly, wowed me, and there were several tracks, especially toward the end, that had me reconsidering this entire video. D tier, behind Green Day. The Smiths' self-titled project, this is pretty good. It's not their best work for sure, but this is a really fun album. I like it a lot. I'm dangerously low on things to say, though. I'm going A tier, behind Oasis. Is This It? The Strokes. This is one of my favorite albums ever. This is just really fun, really fresh, and really goddamn good stuff. Top to bottom, this is just really good shit. A little shorter than I might have preferred, but that's just because the album was so damn good I wanted to keep going. Behind The College Dropout, in the GOAT tier. For the first time, Black Country New Road. A bit of a newer artist here for us. These guys were pretty excellent for their first 2-album run, before their lead singer skipped town. This album is pretty damn good, top to bottom. No skips here. These guys definitely had something special. Above Led Zeppelin, in the S tier. Mad Villainy, Mad Villain. I guess this counts. It's a little tricky to count this one, but this is technically a debut record of the artist known as Mad Villain, being Madlib and MF Doom's group name. If we're counting this album, it's number one. This is my personal favorite rap album ever. Top to bottom, this project is just so goddamn fun. 22 songs in 46 minutes means every song here is fairly short, but it allows for such a diverse array of tracks on this album. It's just such a surreal thing to listen to. Zero skips here. Listen to this if you're even remotely interested in hip-hop. Top of the GOAT tier. The Block is Hot, Lil Wayne, ass. And it's an hour and 10 minutes of ass. Behind Radiohead in the Ouch tier. This is seriously terrible, man. Rodeo, Travis Scott. This is his best album, and dare I say, one of the better rap albums in the last decade. This is technically true for the next 3 months. This is pretty good, though. Fairly underrated in his discography, I would say, at least from the whippersnappers I see on Twitter. Above MF Doom in the S tier. Bastard, Tyler the Creator. Pretty rough listen here, guys. The first half isn't terrible, but the second half is just that. Tina is also one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my entire life. Not worth the listen. No way, man. Behind the Cure in the D tier. Ready to Die, Biggie Smalls. A lot of rap albums in a row here, Deviewer. I'm glad to see you're still here. This is a ridiculously good album. It's got all the hits. It's got all the deep cut tracks. It's an absolutely sensational album. Back of the GOAT tier. Boy, You Too. This is a pretty solid album. It's not much more than that. I'd listen to this again, though. B tier, Behind Gish. Chappie Don't Cry, Fishmans. I have very recently become the biggest Shinji Sato fan in the world, so I was excited to add them to this list and listen to a bit more of their discography, but this album isn't all that great, man. There's glimpses of their future music on this album, but it's a pretty weak album overall, I would say. I probably won't be back here. Bottom of the C tier. Van Halen's self-titled album. This is pretty good shit. This is probably the only Van Halen album I can listen to top to bottom without considering drilling a hole through my ears, but this is pretty great. A much stronger first half, but even the second half has a little bit of charm to it. Above the Banana in the A tier. God Ween Satan, The Oneness, Ween. Over the past couple of weeks, I have become what I like to call a wiener. That sounded cooler in my head. This album is certainly not their best work, but it's also certainly not their worst. It's got 26 songs, so there's bound to be a couple stinkers here and there, but I'm glad to report these stinkers are heavily outnumbered. I like this album probably a little bit more than I should. I'm going Behind Gish in the B tier. Weezer's Blue album. This is pretty solid, and that's coming from a Weezer hater. My hatred is unexplainable, but know, dear viewer, that it's incredibly warranted. This is one of their better albums for sure, though. I'll give it my stamp of approval. And the A tier, above 9 Inch Nails. Tupacalypse Now, Tupac. East Coast for life, motherfucker. No, I'm not that tough. I'm just a white boy from Philadelphia. This is pretty weak, though. Far worse than anything Biggie ever put those comically large hands on. C tier, Behind My Chemical Romance. 16 Stone, Bush. Bush's first and last decent album. It gets comically bad after this one, but this album has at least a little bit of charm, so I already added it to the list, so it's too late to take it out. Above Queens of the Stone Age, in the C tier. Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers, Wu-Tang Clan. And last but certainly not least, we have another one of the greatest rap projects ever. Shocked me how rap-heavy the top of this list was, but what are you going to do? Ridiculously influential project. I don't see much of an argument for anywhere but the GOAT tier. I'm going Behind King Crimson in the GOAT tier. Blind Melon's self-titled record. It's very okay. No Rain is a classic. Change is a pretty good song, but everything else, I shrug my shoulders, you know what I mean? Not worth the listen, I wouldn't say. Behind Queens of the Stone Age in the C tier. Bullet for My Valentine, The Poison. Another very okay record here. I feel like I zoned out for 53 minutes and gained pretty much nothing from this album. I wasn't in any pain, though. That's good news. C tier, above Drake. Coldplay, Parachutes. You're not going to believe this, but this is also super duper okay. Yellow is an obvious highlight, but everything else here is pretty much completely gone from my memory. Better than those last couple records, but not by too much, I wouldn't say. B tier, Behind Gish. Sleep Token, Sundowning. I'm actually a little insulted someone commented this on the last video. This reeks. This reeks like ass. I don't even see the appeal, to be honest. This feels like soulless garbage to me. D tier, Behind Limp Bizkit. Dr. Dre, The Chronic. Finally some good fucking food. This is a killer rap album. Some absolute classics on there. Mixed with a couple stinkers, I would say. It's not GOAT tier, but I think it's S tier. I'm going to put it right above. 3 Days Grace, self-titled project. These goofballs, they kind of stink, man. They're really good for those weird alpha male wolf edits you see on TikTok, but not for much else than that. Not a worthwhile listen, I wouldn't say. Super edgy, super mediocre. D tier, Behind Limp Bizkit. Steely Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill. Now this is good shit. This is just good fun stuff. I have nothing wise really to say. Gets a little weaker towards the end, but it's still better than every single 3 Days Grace song combined and then multiplied by 2. Above Slipknot in the A tier. Shinedown, Leave a Whisper. Here you go, guys screaming about Shinedown in my comments. This blows ass. There's a good track here and there. And by here and there, I mean the first and the last song. C tier, Behind the Beatles. Suicidal Tendencies, self-titled. I Just Want a Pepsi. Behind Temple of the Dog in the A tier. Portishead, Dummy. Now this one I shouldn't have missed. This is incredible shit. Really strange album. Very ethereal. Very atmospheric. I think that's a word. Trip-hop is not a genre I often listen to, but this project is undeniably great. Back of the GOAT tier. Modest Mouse. This is a long drive for someone with nothing to think about. The title's too long, -1 point. A lot of excellent tracks on here, but simultaneously a couple songs that make me want to drill a hole through my skull. Maybe 4 songs on each side of that spectrum, and the other 8 being kind of just average enough. I'm gonna go A tier, behind Facelift. Ozzy Osbourne, Blizzard of Oz, 2 classics, 6 forgettable tracks, and an interlude. I don't really care. Behind Ween, in the B tier. Pierce the Veil, A Flair for the Dramatic. This is very alright. I was a hater of Pierce the Veil, and this album kind of solidified that. Their next couple albums are much better, I would say. I'll probably never listen to this project again. I'd be surprised. Behind My Chemical Romance in the C tier, because they're pretty much the same people. Arcade Fire, Funeral. This is a banger project. The name of the project had me greatly concerned I was in for another devastating record, but in a strange turn of events, I find this album beautifully optimistic. I enjoyed this a lot. Above Pearl Jam in the S tier. Acid Bath, When the Kite String Pops. This is incredible, man. Some guy's been yelling at me in my comments to listen to this for like the last 10 months probably, and it felt like a personal challenge to never listen to it, but I probably should have just listened to it. That guy was right. Top to bottom, I had a pretty great time. This is fun stuff. This is good stuff. GOAT tier, behind Mos Def. Beastie Boys, License to Ill. Would I call myself a Beastie Boys fan? Kinda, I think. They've certainly got their hits, and white people rapping always brings a smile to my face, but I can't look you in the metaphorical eye and tell you this is a great project. It's got some hitters, but I know I'm right when I disagree with the Rolling Stone. B tier, behind the Misfits. Interpol, Turn on the Bright Lights. Guys, I don't get this one. Did I enjoy my time? Sure. But I don't think this is the bee's knees, nor do I think this is as good as Sliced Bread. It's a very cohesive project, but I don't really see myself coming back to this very often. It's not my thing, I guess. You can yell at me at the comments, but I promise I won't respond. I'm gonna go A tier, behind Linkin Park. Descendants, Milo Goes to College. I like the guy on the cover. He seems pretty cool. Really short project, only 20 minutes long with 15 songs. I'm not even sure how they did that shit. Some good moments on here, but not much really stuck with me, I wouldn't say. I enjoyed the pacing, but I don't think it worked out too well on their debut. Above Bush, in the C tier. NWA, Straight Outta Compton. This is a tough one for me. There's some obvious bangers on here, but the songs that you don't know off the top of your head are pretty mid and pretty forgettable. I think the good outweighs the bad here, but the album could have used a bit of trimming, I would say. A tier, behind Slipknot. Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links. This is pretty excellent stuff. A lot of the solo Wu-Tang albums are pretty good. This is no exception to that. Can't go wrong with this project. There's a couple mid-tracks, I suppose, but I had fun. S tier, behind Black Sabbath. Typo Negative, Slow, Deep, and Hard. The worst person you know will try to convince you this is a good record, and I'm not that guy. It started off strong enough with the singular first track, but it just slowly got worse until the slight recovery with the final track. I won't be back here. No, sir. D tier, behind Paramore. Marilyn Manson, Portrait of an American Family. I think this guy's a fraud. Trent Reznor was unable to save this record from being painfully mediocre, I would say. D tier, behind 3 Days Grace. Iron Maiden's self-titled project. Pretty alright stuff. It's very hit or miss. I like some songs here. I don't like some songs here. I don't care about most of them, to be honest. Not the project of theirs I would listen to with a gun to my head. Behind Guns N' Roses, in the C tier. Avenged Sevenfold, Sounding the Seventh Trumpet. This is ass. Ass from top to bottom. 52 minutes of ass, in fact. That's over 3,000 seconds of ass. Behind Radiohead, in the ouch tier. Creed, My Own Prison. The title track is perhaps one of the 5 good Creed songs in existence, but it's not nearly enough to make this project listenable. Every song after My Own Prison, which I think is track 3, is relatively painful to listen to. Don't do it, man. D tier, behind The Cure. Boston's self-titled project. Uh-oh. The way you guys were talking about this in the comments had me thinking we had a GOAT tier shoe-in. I thought you were right about that until I got to the 4th track. From there on, a slow descent took place. No really bad songs on here, but it just slowly went from great, excellent, to good, to meh, until the project ended. I'm gonna go A tier, behind Slipknot. Mudvayne, LD50. I'm not even sure how this project exists. It almost makes no sense. I go from smashing my head through glass to wanting to kill myself in the matter of seconds. So incredibly hit or miss. I wish I'd never said that before, just so I could say it here for the first time and really hammer that shit home. Maybe the least consistent project I've ever heard in my life. C tier, I guess. Behind Queens of the Stone Age. Disturbed, The Sickness. I felt sick listening to this pile of actual shit. My god. This is Chili Pepper's self-titled level of bad. This is David Bowie's level of bad. This is really, really, really bad. I'm going youch above David Bowie. The Killer's Hot Fuss. It started off really strong, man, but the second it got bad, I think around track 6, it was bad for just the rest of the record. just a touch over half the project. I can't give it my stamp of approval. It's a shame. Those first 5 songs were pretty great. I'm going C tier, above Iron Maiden. 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. Overrated project, I fear. 3 or 4 standout tracks, but I won't listen to this top to bottom ever again. The rest is kind of okay. C tier, above Blind Melon. A Perfect Circle, Mare de Noms. I like this. I am what is considered a Maynard tard, but I use my dislike of Pussifer to alleviate my biases as best I can. There's some misses on here, but I think this album is pretty good. A tier, behind Mr. Bungle. Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures. Man, this is dark shit. One of the darkest records I've ever heard, but it's really great. I can't say I'd recommend it unless you have a propeller hat and a comically large lollipop to even out the misery with a little bit of joy, but it's a very strong album. It's undeniable. I'm going top of the S tier. Opeth, Orchid. It's alright. C tier behind Pierce the Veil. That's pretty funny. And with that, I've ranked every single debut album I cared to rank. Please let me know how stupid I am for missing your favorite artist, as every comment you leave does in fact increase my power level by 10. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more music hullabaloo, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.